There are so many advantages to having a baby later in life. And while it brings so much vitality to your day to day, it also makes you analyze things differently. Let's talk about motherhood in your 40s. We read the books, we bought the things. We thought we were ready. And then life took our plans and changed them. I'm Karen, I'm Victoria's mommy, and I work in tech.
And I'm Pamela. I have a baby boy named Ford, and I'm a journalist. And although we're both first-time working moms, we're actually pretty different.
And that's totally okay. Because we both agree that our most important work is raising our kids. We really need each other and can only get through this together. Welcome to Motherish Moments. Pamela.
Hello, welcome to Motherish.
I feel like I'm so new to this topic. It's been like 8 weeks as a 40-year-old, and this one's already like, let's talk about motherhood in your 40s. Thanks.
I've been waiting.
She's been waiting for me to get here.
I've been waiting like 2 years for her to be in her 40s. So it's been like 6 weeks. She's 40. She's here.
Okay.
Welcome to Motherhood in your 40s.
Anytime anyone says welcome, I just hear like AOL, welcome.
I know.
I don't know why.
So this
is because I'm in my 40s.
Yeah, and I don't want this to be like a heavy topic because it's taken me a long time to be okay with this.
Okay.
Okay, like I wasn't okay with like I feel like I got stuck. I turned 40 and I'm 40 forever.
Yeah.
But now it's like,
You're
okay,
42.
now that all my other friends are 40,
You're 40-ish. She's not answering the question.
Now I'm like, okay, we're all 40. Like we're in our 40s.
So you're still 40.
Yes. So like we're all in the same group. So now I'm ready to talk about it. Why don't we start with our motherish moment of the week?
Go for it.
So my motherish moment, and I know it's been a while, but it's the whole elf thing, right? Like I know it's done, but I feel like we should have that tradition for other holidays.
What?
Not as demanding.
No.
But it's about. I think for me, it really made me appreciate, like how loving we are as mothers.
Pamela, you brought out the elf like the second to last week of December.
I know, but I realized that their reactions, especially at this age, like Ford and Victoria, the way that they reacted every morning.
Yeah.
Wasn't it all worth it?
No, I did the nighttime video camera. Honestly, I made a cinematic work of art.
Yeah, it's like a major production.
I am going to submit it as a short.
But also for ourselves. I feel like it made me so happy to be aware of how loving we could be as mothers. Yeah. How dedicated.
We go so hard,
We
man.
go so hard.
And
then we love it. Like we complain maybe a little bit while we're doing it. But at the end of the day, you know,
some nights I was like, oh God.
It's a good reminder, like we're doing this. Like maybe our moms probably didn't do something like this, but now we're doing it. And I think it's like a good, for me, it was like a good, like,
but my mom was definitely the magic. I've said this many years, but my mom was always the magic of the holidays. So like
and also as a family, my mom would literally text me in the middle of the day. I have an idea
for
tonight. We're gonna do. She had the idea about the trap.
Amazing.
It was her idea. She's
that's
like,
so
we're gonna
good.
build the trap, and then we're gonna tell him that we're gonna build the trap so we could catch the elf.
Oh, that's
awesome.
And
she was so proud, and she like put it together and she built it, so it became like a family affair. And even like Ford's dad too was like, okay, well, what are you doing? What are we doing? What are we, So it was like a nice thing, and also like, again, because it's a reminder of how, mothering and just parenthood itself is sacrificial love, and it's a little bit of sacrifice, but the rewards are so high. So for all those moms who are like still getting over the elf thing, I think it's a good time to celebrate.
I'm sorry. So were you saying that you want some version of the elf for other holidays?
Should we come up with the idea, like something for Valentine's or something for like?
No, I have
Mother's Day or
a lot
something.
Of feelings about Valentine's Day. I've always have. You love. I mean, I'll never forget your sweater with the heart on it. You guys like ingrained in my heart forever.
I know.
You love Valentine's Day, but I'm like, I'm like, oh, that's the next holiday. I cringe.
I know. You know why I remember? Because I went to a store and there was like Valentine's Day
out for holidays
already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, my mother's moment is just like being grateful that Ford is allowing me to have these moments. I would not be creating magic if it wasn't for him.
Cool. My motherish moment is just appreciating my daughter's love for music and musical abilities. She we just have so much fun when I drop her off in the car every day. Or like the days that I have her first school drop off, we make it a point to like listen to like what kind of music are we going to listen to? Because we have like a 35-minute commute in the mornings.
Sorry, before you continue, I've been trying to teach like go heavy on the Spanish with Ford. So like it's been like a
Pamela
lot of
and her
like
agenda.
Alejandro Sanz, Shakira, Juanes. I'm trying to like cultivate like culture and language through music.
Yeah.
Ford is like, can I have Michael
I'm not
Jackson? Like
connecting
I'm
with
bad. I
this.
forget that I'm bad. The song "Bad"
Yeah,
is
yeah.
on Despicable Me, I think, one of the movies.
Oh, I never saw
So like
those.
his whole soundtrack is movie related, and it's just like
Yeah.
I can't get him off like Pharrell, Michael Jackson,
You're
Lin-Manuel. We have to like.
we
So I need some
were
advice on this music.
we were listening to Pink Floyd the other day. We just we were listening to Pink Floyd, and I don't know if I mentioned this other thing as a motherish moment the other day, but how I played a song from Queen, or I can't remember right now, but I played a song. It wasn't Queen. Oh no, I did play a Queen song, and she was like, "Wait, mom, that is actually this other song."
Oh, like the beginning of the song, like it was like the
Yeah,
beat?
and she was like, "Wait," and she goes, "No, this is the same. These are the same song." And I'm like, "They're not the same song." And so I was like, "But I hear what you're hearing here." And so, what? I hear what you're hearing. And so I quickly pulled up Chat GPT, and it turns out that those two songs share the same bass line. And I was like, "Yo, this
She's
kid,
good.
she's
Yeah.
good. She's so good." And it's awesome. And so now she's like, I'm like, do you want to go back to music lessons? Do you want to, take piano again? And she's like, no. I'm like,
She's
okay.
like, I just want to dance in the street.
Yeah, she's like, I'm
I
just a
just want to
party
dance in the
girl.
circle of like the
Yeah,
of the
like invite me
circle.
to your weddings. I want to crash weddings. I'm like, all right.
I just want to hype people up. Like,
Yeah, which like I get it, but eventually maybe she'll find some sort of
but you
passion
love
for it.
music. This is
I
very.
do.
Like, this is,
I love music from a distance, right? Like I don't make music. I've never really learned. I mean, my mom, she's gonna laugh when she hears this. My mom made me take piano lessons. I took the piano lessons. I did the show, and I was like, I'm done. So never inclined to learn music. I swear that I'm a decent singer.
really, I don't think I knew this about you.
I swear I'm a decent singer, in the car. And, but I've never, but obviously Victoria's dad is super musically inclined, and, it is a musician and stuff.
Yes.
So there's, and in my family, there's also like some,
You're
music.
like, I have un primo del primo
Hay
del
una
primo.
persona que toca. No.
Her rhythm comes from my. No, she
No.
definitely has music and
Yeah.
rhythm in her DNA.
For
so
sure, for sure. It comes from everywhere. But yeah,
it's fun.
so
Those moments are fun.
it's really cool. And then the other day we went to the skate park, and at the skate park there's like a new like DJ school or whatever for kids, and they were doing a demo. And so we went in for like the demo thing, and she put on the thing, and she was on the turntables, and she was like, "Oh, I got this." And I swear to God, this girl transformed, like she was like in Ibiza. Like, and I was like, "Okay, we're gonna take you out of here now." But it was funny. I don't know. I love exploring things that she's passionate about. I think mainly because I feel like as a child, there was nothing that ever really called to me. Like I was a jack of all trades. Like I did a little bit of gymnastics, a little bit of t-ball, a little bit of sculpture class, like anything that was available in the community school. My mom was like, "Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Sure." But nothing ever really spoke to me. And I just feel like she's ambivalent about a lot of things, but then when there's something she really likes, she goes all in, which is cool. So,
I love that.
but now let's talk about motherhood in our 40s.
Yeah, since we're like in our 40s, we both
This
are.
lady.
It was so funny. Yeah, Karen was like, "Wait a minute, I just turned 40. Like,
I literally just turned 40, and
can I have a moment here?" But in all fairness, Karen was always the one, when we started the podcast 4 years ago, who always mentioned, "Oh, since
when I
we
was
both-
36,
we both had children later in life."
Yes.
And that's what it was the first time that I was like,
you're like, "Excuse me?"
"Excuse me? I had my baby right when I had to have my baby." Like, I never thought of it.
You were
Now-
geriatric already?
Yeah, I was after anything after 35.
I know. I was 34. That's what I'm asking.
You're like, technically? No, yes, I was past 35.
Like, mine wasn't geriatric.
But you were the one who always would like, bring it up because
Because my
technically
example, or this is my parents, like with me, they were 24. My mom was 23 the day that I was born.
yeah,
And I
I always
love
say the
that.
story. My mom was 21, 21. She got pregnant 22 when she had me. And I remember being 10 years old and she got pregnant with my sister. We're 10 years apart.
Yeah.
She was 32. And I remember telling her, I remember this conversation. And I was like, this is so embarrassing. You're pregnant at 32. What am I going to tell my friends? Like, what is this? For me, she seemed so old, like una señora. Like, ¿qué haces embarazada? Like, it was such a bizarre,
You're
like,
like, are you having sex?
concept to me. I was so confused by the whole thing. Now I remember, once I turned 32, she was like, "Oh, you see?" And I don't know there's a difference between like when our parents were in their 30s and their 40s.
Wait, hold on.
Is there? Like, I
is
don't
that
know.
something we say? I feel like that's something we're saying, and I feel like they're like, váyanse a la-"
No,
like,
no,
or
no.
like,
There's-
your
there's-
32 looks so much older than my 32. Like, and they're like,
there's
no.
science. No, there's science that supports this. Like we're all obviously, yes, we're living longer. We have access to better nutrition, more
Okay.
supplements. Like we're more aware
But
about.
does that apply to the generation immediately before us? Or, I mean, I feel like, Pamela, this applies to 3-4 generations behind us. You're talking about the cavemen. Yes, we live older than the cavemen, not our mothers. Like,
No, I think science is so advanced that I think we're really no, seriously, like we're seeing a lot of improvement. Like the NAD, like again, all these things, like we are more aware about how we could like have a better quality of life,
yes.
and B, live longer, right? So the longer we get to live, the longer I think we could delay. We think we could delay a lot of these life decisions that before we thought we had to make right away. So let's start with the good things about having a baby in your 40s. Or a toddler. Okay.
She's already a
I know.
preschooler. She's not even a toddler anymore.
She's like a teenager pretty much. Victoria's like a
She wore a
teenager.
crop top yesterday.
No, but I also think like I became more aware of it when you start spending more time with your mom group.
Okay,
right?
wait, how is
Because-
your mom group?
So my mom, and again, maybe I'm like in denial, but I feel like I fit right in but a lot of the moms are between like 35 and 40. So, but I think a lot of their kids, and now that I'm like thinking out loud, their kids that are Ford's age, a lot of them is like their youngest baby. So they obviously had babies younger, a lot younger.
Oh,
You
they
know what I
started
mean?
sooner.
They
Okay.
started sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them are turning 40. Like this is like the year that a lot of my good friends, my best friends have turned 40. And now it feels like it's like a blur. Like we all blend in the same. Right? Having said that, I think most of them are done with kids. And I still go like back and forth.
Right.
I was officially like, okay, I'm done. Like 40 is not so old. It's not old. Also, like, because now that I have a child, you know how much energy you need
Yeah.
to be with a newborn, to be with a toddler, to be like,
Yeah.
working.
My mom
and
always
doing
says that
this
the
and-
energy that she had with my brother at 36 was nothing compared to the energy she had with me when she was in her 20s.
Yeah, and even like even our bodies, like we can also be like, blind to reality, right? Like you see a mom who's like in their 20s, like mid 20s, like early 30s,
Yeah.
and you see like
Yeah,
even
yeah,
their
yeah.
body goes back, like, right? Is it just
Yeah, there's a coworker that she's a young mom, and
what's young for you now? Like I feel like that
she's in
also
her
has
late
changed.
20s. She's to be in her.
Okay.
She's
No,
definitely in
20s,
her
like,
20s.
don't you hear like someone in their 20s? You're like, oh my god, she's a baby. She's a baby having a baby.
So much life to live ahead of
Yes.
you. She's in her 20s, and her son is 5. He just turned 5, and this girl is like always like on it in terms of like energy. She works really hard, but then she like parties really hard, and like then and I'm just like, okay, you're making me feel old for sure. I will say the one thing I have one negative, not negative, it's a neutral. I have a neutral comment about being a mom in your 40s or later,
In life.
which is that I think you think more because you've lived more. And so you're hyper aware of things. You probably have more fears because you've lived more. There's probably a greater sense of responsibility and just kind of like that I notice in the moms that I'm friends with that are a little bit older, even like maybe even older than me. There's a lot more of like, oh man, of that fear, versus like the younger ones are a little more carefree and not as hyper aware. And I think that is something that comes with age, because even as individuals, the younger we are, the more we're like, it doesn't matter.
We're more
Da, da,
naive.
da.
We're more free spirit.
Yeah, like you're not as fearful of things. And the older that you get, the more you're like, actually, life really kicks your butt sometimes. So we have to be careful. And I think that's the one thing that to me is the biggest factor in terms of the difference of having a child later or earlier in your reproductive
I was reading an
life.
article, and they interviewed 7 moms in their 40s and different stages. I think one had a newborn, the other one had like a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, and then I think up to like 5. And all of them coincided that they were in a better financial situation, where they felt like they were able to be better moms because they have more stability.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a plus, right?
Yeah.
Like in your 40s, hopefully, or like late 30s, you already are set in what your career at that point, if you're doing something professionally. So that gives you a little bit of like, supposedly less stress. Because having a baby
But is it like, cause like, I'm sorry, I know that here nowadays we're like, we can do it all, like these freaking
Having said that,
but
every
like,
time I hear someone, I'm like, don't wait. I advise against what I did. I mean, don't wait. Have a baby. You'll figure it out. Don't wait for like, I'm going to make this amount of money, or I'm going to wait till I get promoted. Like I always tell everyone, if motherhood is your dream, if you want to be a mom, if you know in your gut and your soul that that's what you want to do, eventually do it. Don't wait. First of all, you don't know how long it's going to take you to get pregnant.
correct.
I think, also like having a baby later in your life, you're more aware of those things. I think when you're younger, you're more naive. You're like, oh, it's going to happen when I want it to happen. And like, skirt. So I do advise everyone, don't wait. I wish I would have known the love that I live with Ford. If I would have known like what it feels like, I would have had my son.
I want to go to the point of the career though, because being a mom and having a career is so hard. Like, I don't care what point you are in your career, it is so incredibly hard. And like, being those two things at the same time, I know we want to be like, we can do it all, we can have anything you want. I'm sorry, like, no. Like, it is so hard, and it will like it will drill you to the ground. That's not what I'm saying, but like it might, like it's super hard. And I think that that's a part of like the later, if you're in your late 30s or if you're in your 40s, you're more established in your career. And yes, that's amazing. But that also means that like you've been used to a certain rhythm of performing a certain way professionally. It's part of your identity. And then boom, you have this massive identity shift because you become a mom, you have an identity shift. Yeah. How long it takes for you to figure out that balance is different for everybody, but it will be an identity shift. And that identity shift you have to make tweaks, and you have to, like, you can't, I don't know. I don't think that you can continue to be at the same level of professional and be a mom.
It took me a few years to realize that after I went back to work, I was like, oh my God, and I think I had like 12 weeks, like less than that, like 10 weeks. I don't know. I was back at work pretty early. And I was like, okay, I got this. I feel good. I look good. But mentally, I was not 100%. And I think it took me like a year and a half. Yeah. And I was like in denial. I was not like,
well, you've never said this.
Like, because then I look back, I'm like, I would make mistakes. I felt like my brain was blurry. Like, I wasn't as focused. I wasn't delivering. It's just, and again, my job is very like day-to-day, high demanding. Like, you have to show up and perform 100%.
Yeah.
And my brain was not 100%. Like, I was very forgetful. I would make mistakes. I was like very hard on myself, but in a very hidden way. Like, okay, but I wasn't aware that it was connected to motherhood. Like, it was like, okay, but what is it? Like, I'm sleeping well. But it was just like my old self was just different.
Yeah.
And it took me like a year and a half to finally like, get the hang of things and figure it out and kind of like, support myself in a different way for me to be able to deliver the same way that I was doing it before I had my son. So there was definitely a shift and a change that I had to adapt, but it took me a long time to like, and I look back, I'm like, yes, that whole year was like a blur. And I was showing up and doing live TV, and I was like, okay, I got through the show, but like, it wasn't great. It wasn't, and like, now that I look back and now I'm more aware of it, I'm like, yeah, that's what it was. It was like, I was not ready to like mentally take that load.
I feel like professionally, I've never been the same. And I don't mean it as a bad, like, again, this is a neutral comment, but like the fact that like I now, with my new job, I go to work, but like there's an underlying awareness of other responsibilities that I have that I think are, you know, sometimes more important. And I have like no shame in saying it, right? Like if it's like, oh, it's spirit week or my daughter's sick or whatever, like I just feel like you carry an entire other universe of responsibilities, and being a working parent is it's different. And I mean, I'm saying parent because I want to be inclusive of things, but I sometimes feel that like the way that mothers take it on is not the same as the way that dads take it on, but whatever.
Yeah, because even the logistics, right? Like I'm here sitting down and I'm like already coordinated
You already
someone
had to
pick
talk
up.
about how like, the pickup is earlier today because like schools are like, oh, don't worry, we're going to do early release every Friday. And you're like, I'm sorry, my job doesn't give me early release every Friday. Like what? And it's so much. It's a lot. But I understand also like it goes by fast. For me, I think the biggest, and this kind of turned into a like working mom conversation, but like I think the biggest difference is that the way that I prioritize things in my life is different now. Prior to being a mom, like the wins, my professional wins had so much weight in my overall satisfaction in my life, overall like as an individual, and how I like took pride in who I was. And now
Like it validated you. Like yes.
I was who I was because of my professional wins. And now I can have professional wins, that's great, but like if my daughter's well-being is my biggest flex. Like nothing comes close.
I love that. Okay. Another thing that I read in this article about motherhood in their 40s was that women tend to be more grateful about being moms for whatever reason.
Because we're older. Because we've already been dinged by life.
Right. So according to this article, and again, this is like based, I guess, on like a survey, most of the moms who had become moms in their later in life, for several reasons. Either they hadn't met the right person, either they were waiting, for something to happen, either they couldn't get pregnant fast enough when they wanted to get pregnant. So all those factors made them more appreciative of actually being moms.
Yeah.
So there's an emotional connection to your child that's different.
I agree.
Than if you have your child early on. So that's another
I agree
plus.
With that.
And I agree, right? Like, don't you feel
I totally agree with that.
To me, it's like, I mean, I look at Ford and I'm always like,
I think that by this point in our lives, we already know that time goes by so fast, right? Like, because I think when I hit 30, I was like, woohoo, like still kind of like on this high of like, I could do anything. I'm a superwoman, da, da, da. And then like, before you know it, you blink. Like for me, the jump from 20 to 30 was so much slower than the jump from 30 to 40. 30 to 40 happened in 2 seconds. And so when you're 40, 6 weeks ago, when you're 40, you're like, oh crap. And then what after 40 is 50. It doesn't sound as woo as 40, right? Like,
have you seen this new trend that's going on? I think it's TikTok, where they have Jennifer Lopez is like 55. And then they have like Penelope Cruz, like whatever, 50.
Whatever it is,
and
I
they have
see
Salma, and they're like, I'm like, is this a Latin thing? Like, I mean, is this like the way this is our path?
I love that you see yourself on that path. I don't. Like, what I was saying is that by this time, we're already aware of how quickly time goes by. And the older you get, the faster time goes by, and everybody says it. And so at this point in our life, we're already listening to what the people ahead of us are saying. Because for a long time, people older than us are like, pero chica, esto va a pasar. And you're like, no, not me.
You know what's amazing? Tell me what's happened with you. I feel like
surrounded by old Cuban people. I don't know why I said
we had our babies before we turned 40.
Yeah.
Thanks
for clarifying.
Yes. So I was not 40 when I had Ford, by the way. No. But when I turning 40 as a mom felt amazing to me. I felt like I was in the best like season of my life at that point. I had my child. I felt good. Like to me, I don't know if it would have been different if I would have turned 40 and not become a mom, knowing that I always wanted to be a mom. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there has to be like a psychology, a factor there about having a child before, even if it's very close. Like there's something about, we put a lot of weight, men and women, to this birthday. Like turning 40 is like, I remember my friend Roger told me this story. Like once he's like, I was in Greece, he was like in his 20s, and I saw this like man, and he had a shirt that said 40 and fabulous. And I was like, ¿qué vergüenza? Like, why is he proud of that? Like, I remember thinking like, this is like, so like, I feel bad for him.
How back in the day, listen to me, back in the day, meaning like in
a month ago?
No, when I was 12. So when my dad turned 40, my mom, no, just kidding. That was his birthday when he turned 36. But when he turned 40, I remember the whole thing was like over the hill. Like you would go to the store and like all the greeting cards for 40 were over the hill. And it was like the little black tombstone, like, whatever. We don't do that anymore.
No, now it's
now we're like
fabulous.
We've arrived to the top of the mountain because we hiking, because we strong. Like, you know what I mean? It's a very different vibe.
And I wanted to highlight that feeling of like empowerment, because we put a lot of weight in becoming moms. Like for us, and we shouldn't, right? Like, but I think culturally, did you really make it if you had a child or not? You know what I mean? I think for me, like when I turned 40 and I had my baby and I had like, at my work and my career, I was like, I feel good, but that shouldn't be the case. Like I should have felt like that whether I had 40 or I didn't, but I know in my mind, and I'm just being like honest.
Yeah.
I think for me, it had a lot of weight. Like I feel like, okay, I don't want, maybe because I didn't want to turn 40 and not have a kid. You know what I mean? Like there was like that fear at some point.
Mm-hmm. I never thought about the two in tandem. I never thought about being 40 and being a mom in the same thought. I always had them very separate. I honestly didn't. I never really thought about turning 40 that much until I was 39, and then I was like, oh,
yes. I feel like you really didn't talk about it until like it was getting close to it. And
because then I was like, oh,
and then you were like, I don't know if you were okay with it. Not like.
Oh no, I have grown up listening to my mom saying how her 40s were the best time of her life.
Really? Oh, I love that.
So I have always been very empowered by the idea of turning 40, and I will say, like, in my 6 weeks. No, I think it's like 8 weeks. I think it's like 8 weeks, but I definitely feel not as dumb, and I feel a little bit more empowered to not put the weight of other people's opinions on how I feel in my life about myself and the decisions that I make and stuff, and that is a very empowering thing. I also am much more careful with my health and my well-being. I feel like I'm pretty hot, so it's great.
No, you definitely have. I think women definitely have a moment where they're like, okay, I feel good about what I've done, how I feel, the decisions I'm making. I definitely think I'm more healthy now. I make decisions thinking about wanting to live longer for my son.
Don't you ever look back at like photos from when you were any time younger than today? And if you ever in that photo remember how you felt at the time, and like you're like, I didn't even realize that like I was never gonna look that good again. You know, like I remember pictures of me in my 20s, and I remember those nights, me getting ready in my 20s and feeling like, oh, this doesn't fit right, and da-da-da. And then I'll see a picture of it now and I'm like, this moron. I was so cute. I was so like great. And I had all this collagen in my skin and I was looking so great and I was feeling self-conscious like an idiot. So now I'm like, that's not going to happen to me when I'm 50 and I look back at my pictures at 40, I'm going to be like, she slayed.
No, you know what? I'm surprised that I actually feel this good at this age. Like I never thought like in my 40s I'll be like you know what I mean? Like I always have these moments.
But I'm telling you, it's that not
right.
Don't care.
We're more aware. We're more conscious. We're more grateful. We give ourselves more grace. Like we're definitely like in a different mindset where we're like
it's emotional,
more in the moment
maturity.
and present. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
You know, so I had this for my birthday.
Someone watching is probably like, they're so delusional. Like, we're going to get a comment on our YouTube that's like,
50 girl. Like,
you girls, somebody needs to buy them a mirror. Like,
no, but I think it's good that we.
At least we feel this way. Maybe we don't.
No, have you seen the reel? I think it's on Instagram where it's the Golden Girl. She's like pouring wine. It's like a scene from the Golden Girls, like the series.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's like, "Hi, yes, I'm 42," and it's like She's a golden girl and she's 42.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
No, the one that really messed me up over the holidays was Marv from Home Alone and how he was 32, like in the time of the movie, and I was
And
like,
she had all those kids.
no, the guy, the one of the two robbers in Home
yes,
Alone.
I just saw it last night, actually.
The robber, the taller, like bad, wet bandit,
Yes.
the taller one, like is 32, and I'm like, no, he's not. He's old.
Yes.
But like. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so much older than he was in the movie. It just messes with me a lot.
I know. I had for my birthday, I had like a lunch with the other moms this past year. And when someone was like, oh, like, how are you turning today? And I was like, oh, I'm turning whatever, my age, 43. And they were like, oh my God, what? No,
Isn't that so great?
No, wait. And I was like, yep, I know. So it felt good, but it does make you a little more aware that like, yeah, I am one of the oldest mom in my group.
But like, that's gonna, I don't know. I feel like we're gonna be able to ride that wave until the wave is over. And then, and then it'll be like, oh yeah, I'm 52. Yeah. Looks like it. Yeah. Like, that's not gonna,
I know.
It's just a wave. It's just like, and then it'll be over. And then we're going to look our age.
So to close it off, another of the points that this article made was what we're going to have to deal with. It's going to overlap, right? So we're going to have
this.
First of all, we're dealing now with aging parents. Like our parents are fairly young because they had us very, very young. But most people who didn't have children that young are dealing with parents getting sick.
Yeah.
Parents dying.
Yeah.
Right? So you're
caretaking on both sides.
And what a challenge. Imagine like having
hard.
to deal with that with like birthing and like raising your child, but also dealing with like a sick
life
parent.
paradox.
It's like the whole circle of life has shifted so much, and that has put a lot more weight and stress on motherhood, right? So before, when you were like in your 20s or whatever, you still had parents that were very involved, that were very young, you did not have to worry about that till like later on. And then also for those who have girls, like when your daughters are hitting probably like adolescent or the hormones and all that, then you're also
puberty,
dealing with
menopause.
All those
Let's
things.
just say it.
So those are like, those points that
menopause.
are
Menopause.
But having said that,
menopause
I'm a
start
true
with
believer
men?
that people have babies when they're meant to have babies, and when God has a plan, and when it's your time. And if you've been waiting so long, to have a baby, then I'm praying over you, and I hope that it happens when you're.
I mean, I always feel like everything happens when it's meant to happen.
I know, but it's hard to hear that when you're like.
Of course, when you're in it, you're like,
when
no.
you're in and you're like, hey.
And I mean, the truth is,
and also like, don't put a lot of weight on your. I know it's easier said than done, but don't put so much weight on these years and these like birthdays and these.
You were inspired because of Giselle Bundchen's news.
Yes.
She's pregnant at 44.
She's pregnant. She looks amazing. They just posted a picture of her belly with her new man, and so her partner now does not have any kids. So this will be his first baby. This will be her third baby. And again, I think it's different. I think before we'd have we've heard of
she's
someone.
also a supermodel, so it's a little bit different.
Karen's like, different. She's a supermodel with all the resources in the world.
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of.
I'm sure
not the same. I don't know.
I know. I'm not saying I'm like but it does put. It's shifting like the perspective, the narrative about being a mom.
Diaz also having a baby.
I don't know.
She
had a surrogate?
Yeah, surrogate. Yeah. But she's becoming a mom later.
Olivia Mum too became a mom for the second time through surrogacy. So
I love when we talk about these people as if like my friend Olivia.
I know. So Liv. No, but I do think that social media and celebrities they have an impact. Like they shift the narrative. They change what it looks like to be a mom in their 40s.
Yeah. It's true.
So. And we're in our focus.
And so do we. We totally make an impact on how this is what being a mom in your 40s looks like.
But we also have toddlers, so
we don't have toddlers anymore, Pamela. They're preschoolers. No.
Oh wait,
they're done. Like 4 or 5. Yeah, that's it.
5T is the last toddler. My kid's
barely.
not 5 yet.
No, Victoria.
He's 4, and he always tells me 4.5.
Yeah, Victoria is like 6, basically. So,
oh my God, I'm not ready. By the way, I'm talking about don't put weight on birthdays. 5 is a big one. I don't know if I'm like emotionally like.
No, I remember I went through that last year, and I was like, "This is why we're doing this big party. She's gonna be 5,
my son
and like
turning 5.
It's a huge deal." I remember as a child thinking, now when I turn 6, I'm going to have to start counting with this hand. And then I remember when I turned 10, I was like, I have no more fingers. Imagínate ahora, 40. One, two, three,
My son's always like, Mom, when am I turning 5? I'm like, okay, April 22nd. And then I'm going to turn 6. I'm like, yes. Praise the Lord. Yes, hopefully. And then 7. And then I'm like, yes. But he's dying to turn 5. 5 is a big deal for him.
It is a big deal. I think 5 is like 40.
And again, we're going to go through the whole thing. I'm not doing a party. I'm not doing anything.
You're going to do a party. Come on. We'll see. You're going to just
stay
accept
tuned.
it now.
Stay tuned. To be determined.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Didn't last year you said you weren't going to do a party and instead you were going to do a cruise and then you did a party anyway?
And the cruise. Yes.
And a cruise. Okay.
I know.
Here we are.
But anyways, thank you for listening.
Yes.
Share your comments of what it's like to
subscribe to our YouTube channel because you can see this happening in real life. It's very exciting to watch us in
I know. I'm sorry I'm not wearing any makeup.
It's all because of my we listen and we don't judge comment. That's why you did it.
I know. I used to come with like lashes and like contour and like everything. But
and now I'm like, oh, no makeup.
We're here. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.